Ooh, it is dark in here. Maybe I'll just vlog from the mirror. Ooh, that's nice. Good morning. So I just woke up. I did my skincare. I put on Dermatology mineral sunscreen, and I also put in a bunch of UV filters and styling products in my hair. As you can see, it's pretty whoosh. I already had my first coffee of the day. So I typically I have 2 different types of coffee, or actually 3. I've really been liking this Allegro coffee from Whole Foods. This is the dark roast extra dark French. It is super dark, super oily, which I love. Hi, so I'm editing this vlog and I totally forgot to mention that dark roast coffee, even though it is super, super strong and bitter, which I personally love, like I love strong, bitter flavors. Besides being super, super strong in flavor, it's actually lower in caffeine than lighter roast. So if you are a person who is really into bold flavors, but you're trying to reduce your caffeine count, you're still gonna get a lot of caffeine because I mean it is coffee, but it is lower than lighter roast. Now I'm gonna go and make my second cup of coffee, which I usually do decaf. This is the Peet's Dark Roast Major Dickinson blend. This is a decaf that's decafed with the water process, like the Swiss water process. Basically, they don't use chemicals or chemical solvents that I'm aware of. They just use water. So I assume that might be healthier for you. So the way I make coffee in the Ratio coffee maker. I typically weigh out my water and my coffee in grams. I use this pretty dirty scale. Get some filtered water. From here, I just weigh out about, for one serving, I typically do, I think like 400 grams of water. Around there, approximately. And then I fill up the coffee maker whole. Okay, gotta get my filter. Filtering out the coffee with a paper filter, ideally one that's unbleached, helps filter out some of the harmful oils in the coffee that can raise LDL cholesterol. There are studies showing that unfiltered coffee, and for this I usually weigh out about 22 grams. There are some studies showing that unfiltered coffee or boiled coffee can actually raise cholesterol, and not the good cholesterol, but the LDL cholesterol. That's about 23 grams, so that's fine for one serving. That's boiled coffee. Filtered coffee doesn't have the same effect. In fact, it may have the opposite effect of supporting healthy blood cholesterol and blood sugar and all that jazz. And now we wait. What a lovely, rich, dark roast of coffee. I typically drink my coffee black without any sugar, cream, milk, anything like that. There are studies suggesting, well, actually, there's not really good evidence to suggest this, but you've probably seen this like meme going around where it's like people who drink black coffee are more likely to be psychotic. I don't know. I love black coffee. It cuts down on the negative health consequences of the sugar and the cream and the, why dilute it? Alrighty, after many, many hours and several layers of sunscreen later, I am back. I'm also on my second cup of coffee today. I'm having to like reapply several layers of sunscreen throughout the day, every single day. This new retinol that I'm on, the Skin Medica, which you might have seen in my Get Ready With Me video, but I can feel it really drying my skin out, so I have to make sure that I'm staying moist and also protecting my skin from the sun. Yeah, if you're anything like me and you drink a second cup of coffee, I tend to keep it decaf. I think I said that earlier, but if you're anything like me, you love your coffee. Actually, coffee, from what I've read, is one of the most, aside from tea, one of the most widely consumed beverages in the world, and especially in the United States. I feel like it's part of our culture just because we're so goal-oriented. I know some of you have asked on my channel, just like in the comment section of my vlogs, if there's any foods that are really powerful, potent anti-aging foods, and I have to say that tea and coffee is probably my top picks. Now, these aren't necessarily foods in the sense that they're you're gonna derive energy from them. There's no calories or anything like that, but it does have quite a few advantages and benefits documented in the literature, in the medical literature, specifically in regard to its polyphenol or antioxidant compounds. And surprise, surprise, that in America, in the United States, coffee is the #1 source of antioxidants in the American diet. So that doesn't really say a lot for the American diet, which is heavily processed. Antioxidants, polyphenols, mainly come from plants, derived from raw vegetables and plant-based materials like that. I think is probably the best source because you're not denaturing them potentially with heat. But regardless, polyphenols have several health benefits, including anti-aging benefits for the skin. So #1, in terms of longevity, there are several studies showing that polyphenols, and some studies showing that polyphenols from things like Camellia sinensis, which is tea, as well as coffee, can extend the lifespan of yeast and fruit flies. So whether or not that translates into humans is debatable, but it is very interesting research. Long-term consumption of coffee and that intake of antioxidants and polyphenols may protect against age-related oxidative stress. And oxidative stress is produced in our body all the time. I mean, there's some benefits to free radical exposure and oxidative stress. When it comes to excessive oxidation in the body, that's what leads to age-related changes, abnormal aging, premature aging. The sun is our one of our sources of the generation of oxidative stress. So when our sun hits our skin, it causes DNA damage, as well as oxidation, free radical exposure, the induction of matrix metalloproteinases or MMPs, which are enzymes that degrade the elastin and the collagen in the skin. But yeah, anyway, antioxidants from long-term coffee consumption can potentially help reduce that the age-related oxidative stress and thus have potential implications in terms of anti-aging. Also, caffeine, I think there is some research suggesting that caffeine may have, apart from the UV protection, which I'll get into in a minute, it may have an inhibitory effect on mammalian target of rapamycin, which is mTOR complex. And that is thought to help prolong the lifespan of the yeast that I was mentioning earlier. And the polyphenols can help to reduce body fat and may help with blood sugar stabilization and cholesterol and cardiovascular outcomes. This isn't medical advice, by the way, so obviously you can't manage a condition by drinking coffee. When I'm doing anything, like I love my functional beverages and foods, like I do things for the preventative effect and the long-term accumulative effect. So I think it's just interesting to know the research out there so that when you are wanting to participate or engage with certain foods for prevention, for anti-aging, you kind of know what the research is and you can sort of use that as a facilitator in creating a well-rounded holistic dietary plan for anti-aging. Also, there is some conflicting data out there to suggest that caffeine from coffee has an inhibitory effect on collagenase and elastase, which are enzymes that break down collagen and elastin, and also the consumption of polyphenols from coffee and caffeine, which also contains those antioxidants, can offer UV protection to the skin. It's definitely not a substitute for proper sun protective behaviors, you know, layers and layers of sunscreen like what I have on, or sun protective clothing, seeking shade, etc. But it adds just that extra layer. And for me, I try to do things in my lifestyle that will add that extra layer of protection against the sun, against pollutants, against free radical exposure in my diet, etc. You know, having that extra protection adds that, again, accumulated benefit over time that compounds on each other over time. And therefore you're getting a much broader, bigger, enhanced level of protection than you would if you just did one thing alone, which was like, for instance, if you just wore sunscreen, that would be plenty. But having extra layers of protection, I think, is I was reading earlier, some research showing that caffeine from coffee may protect the skin from oxidative stress-induced senescence, or just like abnormal, aberrant aging and the premature aging process. Protect the skin from that process through activation of autophagy. And autophagy is basically the clearance of dead cells, really a clearance of the organelles and the proteins in cells, and a decline of autophagy over time, just as as, you know, as time moves on, your body becomes less able to induce or activate that autophagy to a certain extent. And so that's what leads to the premature aging. So caffeine from coffee may help to inhibit the premature aging process in a certain respect by activating that autophagy or activating that clearance of the organelles and the proteins within the cells. There was also a Japanese study that I'll leave the study down below in the description box so you can check it out. But it was a Japanese study, I think it was women maybe, who drank coffee versus those who didn't. And it showed that the women who did drink coffee over a certain period of time, they had statistically significant reductions or fewer UV-induced pigmentary changes in their skin, suggesting that yes, coffee does, the polyphenols in there does protect your skin or do protect your skin from UV-induced damage, erythema, pigmentary changes, hyperpigmentation, things like that. So in that sense, that also supports the notion that coffee and the polyphenols in coffee protect your skin from UV-induced damage and photoaging. Oh, sorry, my coffee is like really hot right now. Yeah, but my second cup of coffee is just another black cup of coffee. It's probably staining my teeth as we speak, but I do showed you earlier, the Peet's decaf coffee. It's delicious. Okay, so I'm gonna get back to my computer. I'm gonna do some editing and I will see you later. Okay, so I forgot to mention that coffee, while beneficial, potentially, it isn't without its downsides. I mean, if you know, I feel like if you're prone to anxiety, like for me, if I have bouts of anxiety, which, you know, occur from time to time, I will lay off on the caffeine, I'll lay off on the coffee. If you have certain things like that, you definitely should be talking to a doctor, making sure that you can drink caffeine, especially something that is like coffee, because that is pretty high in caffeine. Yeah, and I think overconsumption of anything and not moderation. Overconsumption of caffeine, you know, you have that adrenal gland activation and the stress response, and you have cortisol increases. So I think like, even though like in minute, moderate amounts over time, it has benefit, but consuming too much is just a recipe for not success. So keeping it moderate, obviously, like having a cup a day, I think is for me perfect match. That's what I tend to handle quite well. It doesn't really bother me significantly, again, unless I really need to cut back and focus on relaxing my body. But I also wanted to share with you some teas, some more like other beverages that I have that are also extremely high in antioxidants that I love. So I have this reishi tea. It's the lavender mint. This is super relaxing. It is so tasty. It's almost sweet, but it has no sweetener. It doesn't even have stevia in here. It's just a blend of, let's see, what is it? Peppermint, organic sage. It's actually a really interesting blend. So peppermint, sage, organic licorice root, organic lavender, and natural lavender extract. The reishi teas are amazing. I actually just finished a box of English breakfast, which is a black tea that has caffeine in it. Black tea, green tea, white tea, oolong tea. Those are fantastic for antioxidants. There are some really nice studies to suggest that tea from the Camellia sinensis plant, like black tea, green tea, white tea in particular, can also inhibit collagenase, elastase, and help with reducing or protecting against or just having those anti-aging benefits like coffee, like what I was explaining earlier. I know I like a blend of Carney and Sons, but here's the Formosa Oolong that I really like. I really like this Formosa Oolong. Very, very nice. This is caffeinated tea. It's from Camellia sinensis, but this has high amounts of theanine in here, which all oolong teas have high amounts of theanine, and really all Camellia sinensis teas, like black tea. But theanine is an amino acid that crosses the blood-brain barrier and helps to, in a certain sense, counteract the effects of caffeine and can actually promote relaxation. So oolong tea is a wonderful tea that I love. There's also studies showing its anti-diabetic and anti-obesity effects, so that's awesome. Darjeeling is a black tea, also caffeinated, that I really like Darjeeling quite a bit. Have my Japanese sencha. I don't think I have any more left in the Japanese sencha, but that's a good green tea. I also really like the Organic India brand, so I have this Tulsi Ashwagandha. This is also pretty high in antioxidants. Tulsi and holy basil. There's a lot of good anti-aging benefits with holy basil that I might have discussed in a previous vlog, but great for skin, great for potentially protecting against UV. Ashwagandha in particular is sort of an anti-stress herb, anti-anxiety herb. Studies suggesting that it increases your levels of catalase, which is an enzyme, antioxidant enzyme that may protect the hair and the skin. So really love this tea. They also have a rose tea, a rose tulsi tea that is amazing. This is caffeine free, by the way. Well, hello, back in my dark cave yet again. I'm watching The Sip with Ryland Adams and Lizzie Gordon. It's like a podcast. Yeah, I really like this podcast. Lizzie Gordon is super funny. Do I have chocolate in my lips? I'm drinking hot chocolate right now that I made. If you watched my health benefits or anti-aging benefits of chocolate video, You know all about the health benefits and anti-aging, longevity benefits of cacao. I'm using 100% cacao and almond milk for this. But yeah, if I have chocolate in my face, please forgive me. I have to go wash my hair and, you know, mess with this. I've already moisturized and did my cleansing and everything like that. You probably can see how moist I look. The retinol that I'm using is really drying. Like, I wasn't expecting this. And I know I've read about retinol and I knew that it was drying and everything, but like this feels, maybe I went overboard on it. So I'm taking a break from retinol. I'm taking like 5 days off of retinol. I'll pick it back up and like slowly reintroduce it back in, but I'm having to keep myself super moist. Yeah, but anyway, I'm gonna drink my hot chocolate. I'm gonna continue watching the sip. Thank you for joining me today for this benefits of coffee vlog. I think that's what it was, this video. It kind of had a smattering of different beverages, coffee, tea, hot chocolate, but hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, please hit that like button down below. Let me know that you liked it. Leave a comment down below. Share it with your friends, with your family who, you know, loves coffee and wants to, you know, validate their own addiction. No, I'm just kidding. And subscribe too. Also, if you aren't already, I would love to have you here. I'll see you in the next vlog. Bye.